All right, welcome everybody. We're here to talk about the Open CLI framework, also known as OClif, and it's the way for you to create command lines that your users love. As this is a Salesforce presentation, I'll start with some forward-looking statements that anything we talk about today is not something you should base a purchasing decision upon. So I'm here with the OClif team. I'm Nahid Samsami. I'm a product manager at Heroku, and I work on the CLI. And I'm joined by Jeff Dickey, our lead CLI engineer, and Felipe Navarro from our CLI team, who's an engineer as well. And we're here to talk about OClif, the Open CLI framework built by Heroku, which you can use to create your own command line interface. OClif makes building CLIs really accessible. So it has all of the structure, the patterns, the tools that you need to build a complete and robust CLI. And there's some of those tools and patterns are highlighted there. It includes things, not just things like flag parsing, but also order documentations, a plugin infrastructure, testing helpers. It's super fast. It includes hooks. There's so much in there that helps you build a really complete CLI. And two of our CLIs here at Salesforce, the Salesforce DX CLI and the Heroku CLI, are both built upon this OClif framework. So we shared this framework last week with the community. So there's a site, oclif.io, where you can learn more about the framework. And it's been trending in GitHub, and as of today, this is very current. We literally just pulled this screenshot. It's the #1 trending repository in TypeScript. Woo! So we were really, really delighted to see this because it's a framework we've been working on for years. I think it has 1,600 stars as of now. And also, we were super excited to see the conversation. So we've heard from a lot of developers from all around the world who are excited about building a CLI on OClif, or they're already working on a CLI and they want to port it over. But what better way to show you how OClif works than to get into the code? And Jeff is going to demo it for you. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Nahid. So I'm going to show how to get started with a simple OClif CLI. Oops, that's Slack. So with OClif, we built a generator that goes along with it, and that really helps you get started quickly. Oh. We like to have people use this with a tool called npx. This actually comes with Node, and basically what it does is it goes out and it fetches an npm package if it's not already on the system and downloads it. So the only thing you need to have set up is to have Node installed on the machine. So on macOS, the only prerequisite is to run brew install Node. And from there, you can do npx OClif. We're going to create a multi-command CLI, and we're going to name it GitHub CLI. And it just walks you through a bunch of questions about the configuration for the package. You can look at our docs at oclif.io if you want some more information on what each of these do. And it asks for optional components. So, for instance, if you wanted to use npm instead of yarn, whether or not you want to add Mocha for testing, or if you want to write it in JavaScript or TypeScript. Well, these are the defaults that we like at Salesforce, so I'm going to just stick with those today. Now it's just going to go fetch the packages it needs to run the CLI. What this CLI is going to do is I think it represents a really common type of CLI that a lot of people are building nowadays. It's very similar to the Heroku and the SFDX CLIs, where it really is just wrapping an API and make it a lot easier for users to interact with a CLI. It's a lot friendlier to install a CLI and use it for your users than to come up with these curl statements, for example. So I'm going to enter that directory, and for development mode, the project includes this bin run script, and that's how you run the CLI locally. So you can do --help, see all the different commands it comes with. It comes with a little hello world command. You can go in and edit if you want. But for this, I want to create a new one called stars. And what that's going to do is get the GitHub stars of a repository. So I'm going to use OClif, create a command stars. And it's going to create scaffold out a new command and a test for that. So I can run the test with yarn test. and run those. Let's go into, oh wait, before I go into the command to run it, I'm going to need an HTTP client. So the one that we like to use is Oak Cliff. You can use anyone, Request, Axios. We like this one that we created called HTTP call. So now I'm going to go into this command. And I'm just going to take out a bunch of the example code that it comes with that we don't need. Now I'm going to import our HTTP library. And now I'm going to make the HTTP request. Grab the repository. Oh, first I'm going to rename this arg to repository. This is just the first argument that gets past the command. And this returns back an array of all the users that have started the repo. So I'm just going to iterate over those. And I'm going to use this.log to output them to the screen. And that's all we need for our example command. So now if I run bin run stars, we can look at the Oak Cliff repo as an example. And we get all the users there. Now I'm going to, oh, wait, one more thing. So Felipe and I, we found that having really easy to use debug sort of statements and environment variables is crucial when it comes to helping users in the wild. So we like to put everything behind this debug asterisk command. And using that, it outputs all the debug stuff from inside the CLI, the HTTP requests, and everything. And so having that real quick way to enable that has been really helpful for us to deal with support and fix bugs in the wild. So I'm going to have Felipe come up, and he's going to demonstrate how to add help and a couple other things to the CLI.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello?
That's all right.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. OK, cool. So let's dig in a little deeper, make this a little more user-friendly. So Jeff sort of showed you the help there at the root level, but we also have help at the command level. So if we run help right now, you'll see it basically has a usage statement and provides the command and then positional arg. Not terribly helpful right now. One thing that users could do is forget to pass an arg, right? And they get this ugly 404 statement because, as you can see, they're trying to hit repos/undefined because that args.repository string interpolation Jeff had is undefined. So let's clean this up, make it a little bit prettier for users, a little more helpful. And so we'll do that by hopping in here. OK, cool. So the first thing we can do, coming over to the repository argument, is make it required. And then let's also add a description. Right? And we'll call this name of repository. OK. And we'll save that. So now, running this command again with no argument, we get a better error. And this says, hey, there's missing an argument. It's named repository, and it is the name of the repository. That's the description we just gave it. Likewise, it tells us we could run this command with help again. So let's run it with help. And we get the arguments listed there, right? So this is part of the help plugin that comes through the generator. Oak Cliff has a bunch of plugins that we already wrote for you with some of this functionality that all CLIs will need, like help. Again, go to oakcliff.io. You'll see the list of the plugins. I'm going to add one more plugin real fast to show you how quick it is. So if your users happen to not remember a command name, which is very common, and they try to run star, they get this base error message, command not found. We can make that probably a little bit more helpful. So let's add the plugin not found, again from Oak Cliff. And we've added it as a dependency, but we also just need to hop into the package JSON And doing a bit of scrolling down, we're going to go to the Oak Cliff settings. And right here, inside of plugins, let's add it as well, so that Oak Cliff knows that it's available to use. So not found, and then we'll want a comma there. All right, great. So now if we run that same command, rather than getting star is not a command, we get this more helpful message saying, perhaps you meant stars. So again, this is just another plugin that's available with Oak Cliff. More plugins are coming soon, such as auto-updating and auto-complete. So look for those. And then likewise, you can build your own plugins that you can share across your CLIs inside of your team. Or maybe if it's really popular, other people in the community might end up using it in their own CLIs. So with that, that's kind of plugins. And I'll kick it back to Nahid.
Thanks, Felipe. All right. Thanks for showing us that demo. So you just saw how you can get started with Oak Cliff, and you can learn about it and so much more at oakcliff.io, which is a dedicated site. It has links to the API reference. There's links to discussion in Gitter. There's links to GitHub. And so we'd love to see more of you up there on the site and building on Oak Cliff. Oh, and we meant to mention, we're also going to be at the open source booth tomorrow. We're doing a little bit of an office hours there, the three of us, at 10 a.m. tomorrow at the open source booth. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to questions. Matt from our team is going to take questions from the audience.
Hi.
Yeah.
Any other languages supported, like Python or stuff?
No,
So only JavaScript types.
only JavaScript. Yep.
Thank you.
Question at the front.
I noticed a lot of the autocomplete predictors in the light gray, and you mentioned that the autocomplete plugin would be coming out. How would I implement autocomplete for my own commands and so forth?
Yeah, great question. So what you were seeing there was actually from the shell. That was fish shell. So it does a bit of command memorization and autocompletion. The type of autocomplete that we'll provide from the CLI will be for Bash users and Z shell users. And it'll if you add the plugin, it'll come baked in. There's a little bit of an install step because you actually need to drop something in the user's Bash profile, but after that, everything else will be automatically built and accessible for Bash and Z shell users.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? Oh, we have one more over there.
Yes. Hi. How do you suggest, if I take this CLI, can I expand SFDX with this Oak Cliff?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So both Heroku and SFDX plugins are basically just Oak Cliff CLIs that are made to run within those CLIs. So the process of that we just walked through of adding a new CLI with a new command, it looks almost identical to doing it with SFDX. You just run SFDX plugins :generate, and it creates a
Okay, so if I want to deploy my plugin on customer, I need to tell them what you just said.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Great. I think that's it. We'll be sticking around for a few minutes to answer questions. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.